All right, welcome back today. Today we are doing 5.0 fractions, decimals, and percents. Make sure to write that at the top of your notes. Then write down your essential question. How do you convert fractions and decimals to percents? So we're going to take fractions and we're going to take decimals and we're going to make them all percents today. We're also going to be able to make those percents back into decimals or fractions. All right. What is a percent? A percent is a ratio comparing a number to 100. So there's always a 100 on the bottom. If you think about the percent sign, it kind of looks like 100. So here is the percent sign. That's kind of a 1 with two zeros. Equivalent ratios. They are ratios that name the same comparison. Equivalent means kind of sounds like the word equal. So they are the same ratios. Remember, a ratio is just a fraction. So having the same fractions would be equivalent ratios. Hopefully you've paused the video and wrote that stuff down. Let's go to our examples. This is good stuff to write down. All of this stuff. So to change a fraction to a decimal, you probably want to write this stuff down. All of it. So if you have to pause the video, do that. To convert a fraction to a decimal, divide the numerator by the denominator. So in this first example, we did 1 divided by 8, and that equals 0.125. Remember, put the 0 in front. That holds the place for that decimal. All right, go try both of these. Change 5/16 and 2/11 to a decimal. You can use your calculator. Pause the video. All right, hopefully you went and did that. For our 5/16, hopefully you got 0.3125. And for our 2/11, hopefully you saw that you got 0.18, and that actually is repeating. Your calculator might have said a 2 at the end, but that is wrong. It rounded, and it shouldn't have. It was 181818 forever. So we put the little line above the 1 and the 8. All right, pause the video and write down the next step. Taking our decimal to our percent. To convert a decimal to a percent, multiply by 100. Or you can simply move the decimal 2 spots to the right and insert the decimal. Ooh, it doesn't say decimal. Insert the decimal. All right, so let's go do that. We have 0.125. We could multiply it times 100, and it gives us 12.5%. Or we could move that decimal over 2 spots. So let's go do that. So if we move it 2 spots to the right, like it says, 1, 2, it ends up in between the 2 and the 5. So we get 12.5%. So either way works. So let's go take that last problem, those 2 problems that we did, and try those on your own. Convert those to a percent. Pause the video. All right, hopefully you got, after moving this one 2 spots to the right, 1, 2, we took that decimal and made it a percent. 31.25%. Now, what about this last one? Ooh, I almost forgot the repeating sign. If you have to go back and change that, go back and change it now. All right, if we made this a percent, we would move it over 2 spots, 1, 2, but then we would have to add in something after the decimal. 18 point what? What do you think? Hopefully you said 1/8 with the repeating and then percent, because it's not just 18%. It has that repeating, so we have to include that repeating after the decimal. If you're not keeping up, make sure to pause the video. The next one's percent back to a decimal. So write that down. So now we're going to take a percent and turn it back to a decimal. To do that, to convert our percent back to a decimal, divide by 100. So we're just doing the opposite of the last one. Divide by 100, or you can move this decimal 2 spots to the left. So let's try that. You can go ahead and try these 3 on your own if you want, or if you want to wait and do them with me, you can. So we said we could divide by 100, or we can move the decimal spot back 2 spots to the left. So I'm going to do that for this 14%. Let's move it back 2 spots. 1, 2. So now it's in front of the 1. I need to put a 0 in as a placeholder. 0.14. Good. All right. What about this 2%? Be careful on this one. I need to move it back 2 spots. 1, and then I add in 1 more spot, which means I have to add a 0. So I'm going to add the 0 in the front as the placeholder before the decimal. Then 0, 2. Be careful. Make sure to move it 2 spots. Next one, 78.26. I'm going to move it back to the left 2 spots to make a decimal. 1, 2, 0.7826. Let's add in 1 more. What if I said 125%? What's that going to look like? Well, if I move it back 2 spots, 1, 2, notice we start not with a 0, we start with a 1.25. And that's okay. If it's over 100%, you are going to have a number bigger than 1. Next page. Convert these decimals to percent. So now we're just practicing. So go ahead. Go practice those. Pause the video, and then you can check back with me. All right. Hopefully you went and did that. Convert these decimals to percents. So how do we do that? If we look back on the last page, converting these decimals to percents, let's go find it. Hopefully you're looking in your notes. Convert decimals to percents. It's right in the middle. It says multiply by 100 or move the decimal 2 spots to the right. So I'm going to use the 2 spots to the right. 1, 2. So this one is 32%. 0.65. 1, 2. So that one is 65%. This one, 1, 2. I have to use a 0 in there as a placeholder. This one is 20%. 1, 2. We have a decimal in this one, which is okay. 45.6%. 1, 2 to the right, and this one is bigger than 100% because it started with a 1. It is 128%. And 1, 2 to the right, 79.23%. Moving on. Convert these fractions to percent. So we have to convert this fraction all the way to a percent. So we're going to make a pit stop at the decimal. So we're going to convert them to a decimal first. So how did we convert fractions to decimals? We divided 1 divided by 4. So go ahead, pause the video, try these, see if you can get them. Okay. So hopefully you did 1 divided by 4 and got the decimal, which is 0.25. Now, how do we take that decimal and convert it to a percent? Well, if we look back up here, we moved it 2 spots to the right. 1, 2, or we times it by 100. And you should have got 25%. Don't forget to label. All right, then next one, 3 divided by 8. To turn it to a decimal first, 0.375. And then our rule for converting decimal to a percent, 1, 2 spots to the right. And we get 37.5%. And last but not least, divide 1 divided by 5, 0.2. Move it 2 spots to the right. Oh my goodness, I ran out of space. We know that we have a 0 in there because we have to go 2 spots, 20%. All right, hopefully you're still pausing the video if you need it. Next, we are comparing by converting to percents. So in order to compare these, they have to all be the same thing. They could all be fractions, they could all be decimals, or they could all be percents. I think either changing just to decimals or to percents is the easiest, and staying away from fractions. So if I convert this 1/4, well, I already kind of did up here, so you guys should know, but I would convert it to a decimal, and then I'll change it to my percent. 25% versus 40%, which is bigger? The 40%. And remember, the alligator always eats the bigger number. He's hungry. Okay, what about the next one? How do we compare those? Hopefully, you've converted to the percent by moving it 2 spots to the right. So really, this is 89.3%. What's larger, 89.3% or 50%? Yeah, 89.3. And the alligator eats the bigger number. Try the next two if you can. Okay, hopefully you tried them by pausing the video. 3/4. Hopefully you converted that to a decimal and you got 0.75. And then moved it 2 spots to the right to make it a percent, 75%. And 75% is larger than 65%. The next decimal, you converted to a percent by moving it 2 spots to the right and got 13.6%, and 20% is greater than 13.6%. Pause the video when you need to. All right, let's write all of these different things in order from least to greatest. But in order to do that, let's change them all to percents. So 0.075 is already a percent. It's a really small percent. That's less than 1%. 3/4. We actually practiced that one up here. That one becomes 75%. 0.41, move the decimal spot 2 spots to the right, and that becomes 41%. And then we have 100%. All right, let's take them and list them from least to greatest, smallest. So actually, this one, even though it looks like 75%, it's not. It is less than 1%. It is a teeny tiny percent. It's a decimal percent. Very small. What's the next one? 41%. Yeah, but we're not going to write it as 41%. We're going to write it as the original number, which is 0.41. That's why we write out each one. Then the next one is 75%, but we're not going to write 75. We're going to write it as the original commas, by the way. 3/4. And last but not least, our 100% is the largest. Write these from least to greatest. So let's go convert them all to percents again. The first one is 35%. 0.25. Let's move it over. Yep, that's 25%. 1/2. That's 0.5 when you convert. So I'm going to go do that. So that's 0.5. And move it over 2 spots, 50%. And the last one is 200%, already a percent. All right, what's the least one? 25%, but let's write it as 0.25 because that's what it was given as. The next one, 35%, it was given as a percent. And then the next one, 50%, that was given as 1/2. And last, 200%. All right, if you have any questions, make sure to send me a message. Best of luck.